everybody, welcome back to another Stoneforge gaming video, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to paint up some realistic, semi-realistic, more stylized lava pools. And this first picture here is the style of lava that we're going for, where there are a lot of reds, but there are still a lot of yellows and oranges in there, and we're going to go to a very, very bright finish, which will kind of lend that coloration. So to start here, we have just done a texture around a piece of MDF board, and for our actual lava, it's just simply some swirls of hot glue that we just kind of swirled around in different patterns and then just base coated up red. Nothing to it really. And what we're doing now is we're just simply using this Carroburg Crimson Wash and kind of putting it into all the recesses, just kind of dragging it. You don't want to let it pool too much, but again, you want to kind of take your time and get it in everywhere, because it's gonna shift the overall color tones. You can see here, kind of gives it a little bit of that darker black color. Now, what this is going to do is actually this next color of red that we're going to do is going to bring out some more of those highlights. And this whole process is set up so that we're doing basically layers and layers along with a couple of different glazes. And the idea is that we're going to just slowly over time build up those colors until we have a very bright contrast between our dark tones that you can see in between the little swirls in our lava. And what I did here, actually, when I created this, I did some different looks where you would have some bits that were kind of more flat, like they might look like just overall like a surging pool of it, and then at other points where it looks like maybe it's kind of half bubbling, things like that, so that we can work on some different textures. And really what we're doing here is we're kind of lining for this first part, we're kind of lining out our different reds in our different color here, because what we want to do is not have it, we're going to slowly kind of get smaller and smaller, and we're going to use smaller and smaller brushes as time goes on. So really we're just basically, the idea is that use the brush size that is appropriate for the particular color or for that particular size. So we're still using kind of a large, kind of almost dry brush style at this point, and we're just going to be putting on our oranges. Now the idea is, again, with the layering process, you're going to do smaller and smaller areas each time, so that you're leaving some of the colors that were there before behind, and so that you have your shadows. And then as you do your layers up, we're kind of feathering this out. Now, feathering is a process in which you're just kind of dragging your brush so that you're not getting a thick consistency. And again, the whole idea is that go as subtle as possible with this, because the idea is that we're going to do many layers, probably even up to 10 layers. You could even do more depending on the particular look you're going for, things like that. So you can see how that color is already starting to build up there. We've got our oranges. Now we're going to do some yellow in here. We're just going to throw some very basic yellow color, and we're going to, again, do smaller and smaller spots. And again, what we want to make sure of is that we're not covering up too much. When you cover up those spots in between, you kind of get rid of the contrast that you're building. And what helps actually with this process, the contrast is actually what helps give us that glowing effect, because obviously it's paint, it's not actually glowing, but the idea, it almost gives that an illusion that your mind, basically, you see it, and if you do it correctly, it will almost make you think, oh my goodness, look at that. It looks like it's actually burning, and that it's actually, the brightness is actually glowing out from that particular area. So again, getting smaller and smaller. Now what we're doing here is actually a glaze. This is the, I can't remember, it's one of the GW yellow glazes. Now what we're going to do is kind of use that color to blend together some of those earlier colors. And when we do that, you can see here that as we do that, it will blend our reds all the way into our yellows. Now, the great thing about glazes is it's kind of less is more. You really want to use as little as possible, and kind of just, again, build those colors up more and more and more, because what will happen is if you overdo it, you'll kind of get rid of some of the original color tone. So now what we're going to do is we're going to mix our reds, and you can see our yellows there. They're very bright at this point, and we're going to mix our yellows and a little bit of white here. And you see I've switched to a different shape and a different size brush. And again, it's just because of the fact that we're drawing kind of in these different lines, we're drawing smaller and smaller spots. So we don't need necessarily some big giant brush. We're gonna, again, go with the appropriate brush size. And you can see how, and it might seem a little bit stark at this point, but as we continue on, you can see here as our colors have actually dried, we're getting even more of that just bright effect. Now, whereas our last mixture was about a 50-50 yellow and white, this is closer to about a 75% white and a 25% yellow. And we're just going to want to go in the fine details here so that we are just picking out the very center. And again, you can see how it's already creating that glow effect that looks like at the inner portions of this, you're getting the hottest bits of the lava. And again, this is more lava and less magma, because magma would really have more blacks in the color tone, whereas we're going for kind of that flowing lava look. Now, again, I know for lava pools is not really necessarily maybe realistic, but my idea is that this has been kind of, the ground has been broken up here, and it's very fresh lava. So what we're going to do now is actually coat the sides of this, and we're going to do something so that the effect that we've painted on here, the lava effect, what it's going to do is we're going to use a semi-glowing effect to where on the surrounding dirt and, well, the earth really around there, by doing a couple of layers of glazes and things like that. And so this first part, we're just base coating it brown. You guys have seen this coloration before. It's my normal Borderlands style, that it's kind of the two-tone browns that are kind of dry brushed up. But the idea is that we're going to do almost an object source lighting, except for really, I mean, technically, the whole object source lighting is the center of this. So it's glowing outwards from that point. Now we're just going to dry brush up our edge here. Again, nothing too crazy. It's just a mixture of our browns and our white there, just to kind of raise those tones. And you just kind of want to not go too heavy with this first dry brush, and we will be doing a couple layers on here just to kind of give it that look. Now, I will not be flocking this because of the fact that in my mindset, and again, because this is very fresh, you could do it as however you want to, but the idea in my mind is that the lava that would be bursting forward would be basically killing off any grass that there possibly could be. So I guess you could do dead grass or something like that if you wanted to, but again, we're mostly focused on the effects of actually painting the lava to make it look right. So what we're going to do here is, you can see we're going to use some of this yellowish tone, and this is another glaze, and we're going to actually mix our two glazes together to where at the closest edges we're going to have those yellows, and then at the edge of that, we're going to use some red, and then we're going to blend the two in between, almost like a little bit like wet blending, but with glazes, so that you have a transition from yellow to orange, and then finally to red at the furthest portion outward, to kind of give it, again, this is all very stylized. It's not necessarily the most realistic type of lava, but what it will do is on your tabletop is it will make it look like when you're setting the piece down from a distance that you're going to have that look of, oh, that looks like lava. And that's really what we're going for. We're not necessarily going for the most realistic, perhaps, but we're going for that tabletop look of, when you look across the table, it's very easy to spot that, hey, this is lava. Now, one of the thing about the glazes here, that if you were going to do, say, a lava river or something, a lava stream, something along those lines, you would want to have it just basically along those edges, do the same exact thing, but in your straight lines, or your whatever your curvature of the lake is there, or the stream. And again, just go with you, but you could use all of these same techniques to basically end up with you would end up with the same effect, but on different shapes of lava. So again, it's not any necessarily particular to just lava pools, but you could use it for all sorts of stuff. So this part, what we're actually going to do is we're just going to dry brush again with that coloration of the white and our brown tone that we have mixed up, and just dry brush. And what it's going to do is actually give us a little bit more of our highlights back, to where it looks like the blend in the radiating color that's coming off of the lava is actually coming from the overall tone. We're not necessarily getting our highlights there. We're getting and again, it's all an effect to try to blend everything together. So it looks, in my opinion, it ends up looking pretty cool when you're all said and done. And when you're all done with that, you can actually take a look back and see that all of your colors, you have that same color palette. And here's just a quick still of what it looks like laid down on the table. I wanted to take this because, again, the idea is that it looks like this is lava that is bursting forth from the ground, and then it's kind of glowing. The coloration, the light is all radiating out of there. So I hope you'll have all enjoyed this Stoneforge Gaming video, and I hope to see you all in the next one.